Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another FanTeam episode of the Golden Goal Fantasy Football Podcast. Yeah, as I did on the Sky Pod, if you listen to that, apologies. I've been away for the last couple of weeks. I was on holiday and then I was moving into this new flat of mine in Bristol. So I've been a bit busy with life getting in the way. But yeah, very happy to be back and looking forward to the run-in. And yeah, as ever, I'm joined by Sam. How are you getting on, mate? How's your fan teams going?
Hi Tom, yeah, good to be back, mate. Fan team, yeah. So I know we're mid-game week, and people hate the mid-game week kind of rank update, but since you've asked, I have broken back into the top 1,000 as it currently stands. So yeah, I've had like really nice, steady sort of green arrows for the last sort of 6 to 8 weeks. So as I've said in the previous pods we've done, hoping to continue to green arrow to the end of the season and be aggressive where needed. And this pod tonight will probably shine a little bit of light, as we said a minute ago, chatting to each other and getting some clarity on teams and players and fixtures and all that sort of stuff is a massive massive help. So yeah, mate, looking forward to dissecting what's gone before and what's going to come up.
Very convenient is you were just talking about how you're getting on. I've put your season-long team on the screen, mate. If you're ready to just give people a quick chat through it.
Yes, mate. Just let me pull it up a second in front of me. So Nick Pope in goal. I think this is part game week, right? So Nick Pope plays Southampton tomorrow. Am I
Yeah,
right in
recording
saying
this
that?
Wednesday. He's got Southampton on Thursday. Yeah,
Sorry. Yeah. For clarity for people. So 4.5 so far. We just talked about it on the Sky Pod, didn't we? He's good for saves. Um, it was a late clean sheet wipeout, which is a bit frustrating, but he put in a man of the match performance and really, really happy with that first 4.5. We don't know what sort of Southampton's going to turn up. We could get something from that sort of second fixture. So I'm optimistic there, Tom. And yeah, we'll talk later on about potential goalkeeper changes, won't we? But happy with Pope. I have been happy with Pope since I've had him. Van Dijk and Trent double up at the back. Really happy with that. I think I had a little bit of back and forth on the Golden Goal Twitter with someone about the Liverpool defence. I just had the clutch that they could get a clean sheet against United, and they did. Rudiger was supposed to play tonight. We've seen he's not in the team, but as you'll see, I'll get Dennis off the bench. If you can hear my dog barking, apologies.
that's right, mate.
Yeah, Son obviously let us down a little bit, but he's been brilliant recently, hasn't he? So totally happy with Son, and I think he's fairly well owned. Again, looking at those percentages there, so no dramas there. Salah, I mean, what more can I say? Didn't stick the armband on him. Obviously, hindsight's a wonderful thing. Wish I did, but I didn't. But still happy to get the points. And actually, I think Salah actually pushed me back into the top 1,000 last night just by owning him. Madison, second game to come, came off the bench in the previous one, so we'll see what he does, if anything, tonight. Saka and Martinelli. Martinelli's on the bench, so hoping for at least a cameo, and I'm thinking maybe his time is up moving forward in my team. Saka probably still happy to hold now for the future. Let's see what he does tonight. Obviously, he missed a really good chance, didn't he, against Southampton, that you sent me Sunday morning, Tom, which is actually more annoying to see the miss than actually just kind of been ignorance is bliss, right? Harry Kane, again, 50% owned, so no massive drama there. Happy to leave him to the end of the season. And Weggy, mate, Mr. Weghorst up front. Like, I toyed with different, maybe taking him out and selling him. I just thought, I've got a player here who's doubling with a manager that's just been sacked. So will there be a little bit of just bounce as a result of it? Obviously, he gets the goal, got a second fixture with him. He's definitely not part of my starting kind of plans for the future here, but just happy that I'll take it right now. I'll take those 6 points and run. But the fact he's got a second fixture, if he gets another goal, Tom, then it's going to have been one fantastic week for that, because, yeah, he's not really had, his XG and stuff isn't fantastic, is it? So, yeah, I'll take that 6 points, mate. So that's where I'm currently at. Obviously, I've got Doherty and Tierney rotting on the bench, injured. And I now have Dennis coming in with a 7.1 for Rudiger, who's not starting. So
I hate
even
to.
happy about
I've
that.
just realised, but I hate to burst your bubble on that one. But because of your formation, you got 3 at the back. I don't think you're going to get Dennis.
Do they not do that? No.
I don't, because you'll end up with a 2. What you'll end up with a 2-5-3. So I'm not sure you'll get Dennis for that. I think you'll just get a blank because you've got 2 injured defenders on your bench, haven't you? It'd be the same for me. I got my hopes up as well, but then I've just clocked it.
It's funny, isn't it? I've not had this scenario actually on that formation front. So maybe someone in the comments will either correct us or it'll happen before we actually see it. In FPL, you still do, don't you? You still get the points, but obviously FanTeam's a different setup. So if anyone knows the answer to that, then drop it in the comments below. I'd still be Tom. I'm still happy with the game week. So
exactly, you've done really well, mate. You should be well happy with that. Yeah, good work.
Yeah.
Just whack mine up quickly. I'm not too far. Well, I've had a little bit of an improvement recently. I'm not quite as high as Sam. I'm about 1900th at the moment in the game. So yeah, not too bad. And you don't see Salah's points there because I think I took the screenshots before the United game. But yeah, the old adage, isn't it? If in doubt, just captain Salah. And we've had all these double game week players. I think most of probably didn't even consider Salah over Kane, for example. I think most would have gone Kane instead of Salah for the single players. I went Saka as my captain, so just thought out of the double game week players, he was most likely to get the most minutes in the 2 games, and he's looked really quite lively. So I went for Saka. But yeah, hindsight's a wonderful thing. Just sticking the armband on Salah looks like it would have won through, but his ownership's, I say only, it's a high number, but considering what it has been this season, being only 62%, I've actually made, similar to you, with the result of Man United-Liverpool last night, I actually made some ground with Salah's points, so I was really happy with that. And yeah, Pope and goal, you've gone through that. Trent, Rudiger, Cancelo, I think you have exactly the same defence as me. I've got Son. I think we've actually got the same midfield as well. So I don't have anything above and beyond you to say other than, yeah, similarly to you, I think Martinelli's, I've had enough of him now. And I think I've got a good plan to get rid of him. Then I've got Kane and Broja up top. I mean, Broja just felt like a shoe-in this week because he had a double. He's not ripped the world up by any means, but yeah, he's still got a game against Burnley, so we'll see what he can do there. And yeah, Kane a bit disappointing to lose against Brighton, but it's just one of those games. Spurs doing Spurs things, isn't it? I'm sure next week they'll be back and probably winning 3 or 4-0 maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, agreed with you there. I think you've kind of stopped me getting rid of Son in the past for that reason. They are in nature very up and down. Great performance, poor performance, and so you would not be surprised to see Kane and Son Hall in another game week coming up very soon. So happy to hold both of those boys.
Yeah, and I don't want to brown nose Son too much, but this season I think he's got more non-penalty goals than Salah. I think people, I don't know what it is, but I think Son he's not underrated by such, but I don't think he's considered a top world-class player at the moment. But with the numbers he's been putting away this season, and I do think he gets less chances than some of the top players in the world as well. He is so unbelievably clinical. I think he's right up there with some, not quite Ballon d'Or level, but he's probably level pegging with Kane in terms of out and out ability at the moment. I really do think he's right up there. So yeah, I certainly wouldn't be getting rid of Son.
He's my favourite player outside of my club that I support. So he's a superb footballer. You're absolutely right, and I don't think he does get the fantasy plaudits that he potentially should. I'm not sure why, and I don't always go towards him. So although I really, really rate him, maybe it's because a lot of people choose between Kane and Son. And yeah, I'm glad to have the double up, mate. And yeah, I've got you to thank mainly for a little bit of that more recently.
Yeah, nice one. I'll quickly, because I know your second chance team is a bit dead at the moment, so I haven't included it in this one, but I've just quickly flashed mine up. It looks a bit of a shit show at the moment with a T&E all in red, but with the auto sub rule, it's not too bad. I actually took a -4. I think I actually took a -8 in this team last week. I originally had Nick Pope in goal. I got rid of a defender, and I had Jose Sarr in goal. I can remember it now. I had Sarr in goal, Ramsey, and I think I got rid of Seiss as well. So I went triple Leicester. So I brought in Schmeichel for Sarr. I brought in Fofana for Seiss, and I brought in Dewsbury Hall for Ramsey. Just because those three players had a double game week and Sarr, Seiss and Ramsey blanked. So I think it just made sense to make those moves. Not gone massively well. I mean, Schmeichel got a 3-pointer, same for Dewsbury Hall, but they got another fixture. So, yeah, we'll see what they get there. And I just thought Fofana, I know he probably won't play every game, but the way the Leicester defenders are priced, he's still one of the more expensive of the Leicester defenders. So you will largely always get a Leicester player coming in for him if he doesn't start. And he's only 4.5 million. So it just felt like a wise option for the end of the season. And yeah, Emerson has come in as an auto sub for Doherty. Well, not great, but what can you do? And then Tierney has just been sitting there injured, but I'll get someone in for him tonight. Immediate plans with this team, I'm sat in, I think, 1100th at the moment. And to be honest,
Nice.
I'm not much of a gambler. I'm quite happy with that rank. It's obviously, like everyone, I'm playing off my free entry. So any returns I get from this team, I'll be happy with because I've invested £0 into it. So I think probably take another hit this week and get rid of Tierney and Doherty, and I'd probably try and bring in a couple of Chelsea players. I think I can just about afford Alonso and James in for the two of them, and I might have a think about what to do with Martinelli, because Martinelli's a bit annoying in this one. I brought him in because of just the sheer volume of games, but the risk with Martinelli is because he's so cheap, you don't get an auto sub usually. So he might be going as well, but definitely Tierney and Doherty. I'm going to try and bring in some Chelsea players, but yeah, that's my second chance team.
Nice, mate. You're in with definitely a good shout of a nice finish there.
Next up, just because we've had similar to the Sky one, just because we've had some new fixtures in the time I've been away, and it's probably worth just touching base anyway in terms of the remaining FanTeam fixtures. So we've got quite a few interesting double game weeks for particular teams. I mean, the standout, I think, for me at the moment is Chelsea, with the sheer amount of doubles that they have coming up. Go for it, mate.
I was going to say, I think when I saw that and I thought it was Chelsea, Man United and West Ham, my initial response was, it's a tough game week, but United last night were diabolical and have been for some weeks. And as we said on Sky Fantasy earlier, I fancy United, Chelsea for a solid 1-2, comfortable 2-0 victory, something like that, where there's a high potential of a clean sheet. Obviously, Chelsea United in years gone by, you're thinking this could go either way. But with this and the way that Tuchel sets up anyway, with how dire United have been, obviously, Ronaldo will be back, which definitely adds some more, or should be back, which adds some more firepower to United. I totally understand that. And then West Ham have got European commitments. They look a little bit flat, don't they? Because they essentially play the same 11 and get a little bit stretched. Yeah. So, although it's a bit of a derby, I understand that, or, a rivalry game. But I think it probably looks worse on paper than it actually is. And as we said on Sky earlier, Tom, I just think Chelsea's run to the end of the season is really, really good. 2 double game weeks with Everton, Leicester and Watford bolted in either side of them. It's just really, really nice, isn't it?
Yeah, and well, I spoke about. I didn't actually go over my full season team. I completely forgot to. I'll quickly flash that up and just talk about my plans with that. I don't think. Oh no, I did, but I went over it really quickly.
Yeah. It was so similar to my team, mate. It just rolled in as one, didn't it?
But yeah, I'm just flashing this up with the Chelsea double game weeks. I'm going to take a -4 this week. I rolled my transfer last week, so I've actually got 2 in the bank, and I'm going to make 3 moves. So my plan was to take out the injured Doherty for Reece James. I was going to get rid of Martinelli for Mason Mount. And when I did that, I realised I was 0.4 million short of doing it. And what I didn't quite clock in FanTeam is that Nick Pope is 5.5 million. And I saw Kasper Schmeichel was 5. So I think I'm going to take a -4, do Pope to Schmeichel to enable those 2 Chelsea boys to get in. And I think that's a few smart transfers. So that was my plan with the doubles coming up anyway.
I really, really like that, mate. I'm very envious. I can't do something similar due to financial constraints there. I think that's, if I could do those exact moves, I would do them, but I can't.
I'll just go back to the fixtures now. Stop talking about my team. The only other sort of notable one, really, and it looks like Aston Villa might have a couple of double game weeks in a row as well, which is very
36,
convenient.
37.
Yeah, which is very convenient after a lot of us sold them for their blank. But yeah, it's just how you can squeeze
With
them in, I think, isn't it? There's so many
with
midfield
Norwich in
options.
35, mate. With Norwich in 35. So it could. So you're going Norwich, Liverpool, Burnley, Burnley, Palace. I mean, bar the Liverpool game, maybe the Palace game. That's really nice fixtures. That screams maybe a Martinez in goal. Um, Ramsey in midfield if you want to free up a bit of cash and have someone that just gets fixture volume. Obviously, Watkins or Ings if you want a forward, or Philippe Coutinho if you want someone who has explosive ability there. That's some options, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think given that, well, depends where the doubles lie, right? But it could be the case that we hop off some of our Chelsea players onto Aston Villa ones for game week 37 when they might have a double. For example, like say you do Mason Mount to Coutinho might be my play, for example.
You can't. Yeah, well, you could do that, but Chelsea double in 36.
Right.
Obviously, Chelsea have got the single in 37, but then you've got Watford on the final day of the season for Chelsea versus Villa, who have got Man City.
It's a
So
bit
that would
tough,
be
isn't it?
my
Yeah,
little
that's a
bit
good
of
point.
downfall there because I'd want that final decent fixture. Although I'd love the fairy tale story. I'm probably the only person right now that would love, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? Gerrard to pull out a worldie on the final day of the season and
Win Liverpool
somehow,
the title.
the title goes to Liverpool. But in reality, it's not a nice final day fixture, is it,
No, that's
for
completely
Villa there?
fair
Sorry, Tom,
enough.
I did crowbar you a bit, but I got the fixtures up in their in the grid here in front of me. I don't hate that though, at all. Especially if you went out on 30, you might look at it and go, "I'll take Coutinho for Burnley and Palace, and then move him out then back to a Chelsea asset or another someone else that final week, or you've got someone on the bench." There's the option there for that.
I was going to say, I know goalkeeper transfer is probably not ideal given the quality of like midfielders and defenders at the moment. But looking at those fixtures, I know Burnley have got a double of Tottenham and Villa, which is quite favourable to be fair. But with two doubles that Villa have, I don't hate Pope to Martinez, for example. I know you already
Martinez.
mentioned Martinez. Yeah, I don't think Martinez is anywhere near as good as he was last season, but he's still all right, especially with all those fixtures. So yeah, I don't
You
hate that at all.
you could go in on game week 35, so next week, and then get Martinez for Norwich, Liverpool, Burnley, Palace, and then if you wanted to, I don't know, drop him out for game week 30, their final game week 38.
Yeah,
That's a viable
yeah,
option, isn't it?
definitely. And I think they're probably priced quite. I can't remember the prices, but I think Martinez and Pope are priced very similarly as well. So I think a sideways move between the two should be possible. I don't quite how I'm just going to check my team to see how highly owned Pope is. So he's 14%. Oh, blimey, he's quite low.
Yeah.
But yeah, if any of you 14% are sat on Pope, then that's an option, isn't it?
Mate, I really like Pope to Casper Schmeichel. I mean, Villa, Tottenham. Yeah, Tottenham's a tricky fixture, obviously. I think Villa can be a tricky fixture as well, but they've got Norwich, Everton, Chelsea, and Watford over 2 game weeks with Southampton as the final game of this
Yeah.
season. So just fixture volume, the fact that Kasper Schmeichel's a good goalkeeper and is well priced, I just see that as a nice way into the Leicester defence without the uncertainty of who's starting in that back line. Look at the lineup
Schmeichel is
tonight.
always
So
going to
much has
play, isn't he?
dropped.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just looking to see if there are
Any
any other ones standing out to me.
there's
There's another
so
Tottenham
Everton have
double,
got
which would put me off selling any of Tottenham's players. I know it's Liverpool and Arsenal, but well, you're going to defend Liverpool probably. But I think the way that Tottenham play on the break and the way Liverpool have an offside trap, I really fancy Tottenham to nick a couple of goals against you lot. Just the way Son and Kane play together, I think they'll be really dangerous against Liverpool. So yeah, I certainly won't be in any hurry to sell my Spurs players for that game.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I think Kane, Son, and Kulusevski are gonna cause Liverpool problems that day with the way that Liverpool play. Son always scores against Man City on the counter attack, and he Did he score against Liverpool last
I'm
time?
pretty sure they did quite well against Liverpool. Yeah, I can't remember if they actually won the game, but certainly
No, it was a
Son and Kane
draw, I think.
did some damage.
So I think you're right there, Tom. I'm happy to keep Son for that. And also, what I like there is they've got Burnley and Norwich as their two final fixtures.
And they'll probably
I
have
mean,
something to play for in both those games as well, right? They'll want to win them
yeah,
to get top four with a bit of luck. So
my little kind of my little punt. Well, I'm not going to be doing it, but someone out there who's listening might do it. And that's Everton, who have got Watford, Leicester, Palace, Brentford in 36-37. I wouldn't even know where to start with who. I mean, I'm going to have a look at their lineup. They're already 1-0 down within 5 minutes to Leicester tonight. Harvey Barnes, the
has
scorer.
he? Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, Richarlison, I know he's a favourable price. There isn't a huge array of what I'd call viable options up front. I know that we were talking off air, Tom, weren't we? Or maybe we were talking at the start of this, potential replacements for a Dennis or a Weghorst. I really don't mind that. He's playing right at the front of the Everton front line this evening. And just from a game point perspective, like as in game time, how much he'll play, probably all of it. And he's always a goal threat. I think is he on penalties when DCL's not on the pitch? He did. He took two against took two the other week.
He
didn't
did, and DCL was on the pitch then. That's a really good point. Yeah, he'd be on pens. He's their main man, isn't he? Because DCL's been so inconsistent. I agree.
Anthony Gordon as well, Tom. So he's another one. He's playing on the right this evening of a three with Damari Gray on the left. So there's a couple of potential Everton punts if you're that way inclined. And I say I won't do it, but I think when I see two doubles back to back for Everton, and I'll keep an eye on the scores and performances in the next couple of weeks. It might not sound like such a bad idea, especially if it's an Anthony Gordon, who for me I could do Martinelli to Gordon, and then take potentially 3-4 games for Gordon over that period. So I don't really hate that. Anything else that catches your eye there, Tom, on those fixtures?
Not massively, really. No, I think we've covered it there quite nicely. Yeah, I like your Everton shout. It's just who do you have? But yeah, well, I think to be fair, all of those, there are three sort of cheapy 4.5-ish midfielders, aren't there? There's Dewsbury Hall, you've got Jacob Ramsey, and you've got Anthony Gordon. And each of those players have got a really good run of fixtures for the end of the season. So yeah, maybe we'll all have a 4.5 mid of one of those for the running.
Yeah, well, you're certainly helping me there, mate, because I'm quite tight financially with moves and stuff, so I can't unfortunately do quite the Chelsea haulage that you can. But I think being able to take Martinelli out, who isn't starting this evening, who's looking in and out of the team, and replace that with someone who's cheap, playing well, and has fixture gains, I think is a little bit of a no-brainer. So I think I'm starting to almost work out where I'm going.
And yeah, I'm just thinking, allowed to help you out a little bit. Dewsbury Hall, with the Leicester European commitments, he's probably not going to play all of those games. But Jacob Ramsey, I don't think Villa don't have any other commitments, do they? I know they're probably a bit on the beachy because their season is pretty much wrapped up, but Jacob Ramsey's going to play all of those games, isn't he? And I think out of the three I mentioned, he's probably got the most goals this season. Certainly gets forward the most. So I think Jacob Ramsey's probably my pick of that bunch just for that running. Gordon maybe because he's playing quite advanced, isn't he? But just Everton are crap, aren't they? So I'd probably favour Ramsey.
Yeah, mate, exactly. No, sound thinking, Tom.
All right, and move on to the question.
Like that. That's the purpose. That's hopefully the purpose of the pod. We sort of get to talk these ideas over for our own teams, and then obviously it works for others that listen in as well. So everyone sort of wins or loses depending if the move goes badly.
So before we get into the questions, I've realised we had this good chap FPL Shenanigans. He's been asking us questions every week on the pod, and I had a look at I don't know if he's still in the top 100 now. It might be worth.
He's killing it, isn't he?
He is absolutely killing it, and I didn't even realise. But yeah, we're giving advice to someone who's in like the top 100. I feel like it should be the other way around. So yeah, congrats, mate. You're having a fantastic season, and apologies I didn't pick it up earlier. But yeah, you definitely.
He hasn't dropped. I think he's dropped it. He's very slyly dropped it in once. I think if it was me, it'd be sort of in every week. So fair play. Yeah, as you said, fair play to him. and I really hope that he's on for some good money as well. Like,
Well, it's
in
just
fact, all of our listeners,
exactly.
if you guys rack up some cash, then I'll be absolutely delighted for all of you. So, yeah.
So he asked us, what are our thoughts on Alonso versus James? I'll quickly flash up a stat because I did a quick Who
So
Score search for a comparison between the two. So just flash that up now.
we were sort of going back and forth anyway, weren't we, Tom? Off before all of this, because we're talking about our teams and then the questions that came up, and this was before the questions even came up. This was hush. This is the first topic of our conversation. Was both of them, one of them, you know?
So
I don't know.
yeah, for me, I'll just say my immediate thoughts. I think there are like three like for Chelsea defenders, picking between them. I think there are two or three categories that you choose. I think the first one is like their expected minutes. How much do you expect them to play over that period of time? And got to be completely honest and it sort of relates to the second point as well. But with the injury sort of situations that Chelsea have around their defence at the moment, obviously they've got no left wing back. Rudiger's out. I think both Alonso and James are likely to play similar minutes. So I don't think there's anything to decide between them in terms of minutes. I don't know if you have an opinion on that, mate, but...
No, yeah, I think like my thinking is they've both got really good explosive attacking potential. I do think they're both rotation risks. That's the nature of it. So you are going with that risk that they're going to play and haul. And that for me, I like to play the game that way. So what's been going around in my head is, do I go for both of them? Because I can find a way on a -4 to get in Schmeichel, James, and Alonso, and just understand and accept the risk that I might only see Rudiger's name on the team sheet one week and them two sat on the bench. But on the flip side, that both of them can score, assist, get a clean sheet, and really affect things. Yeah, my inclination is to go with one of them, and I would personally go with Reece James. I just think because he's a better player overall. We were talking a minute ago, weren't we, Tom, and saying Alonso's fantastic going forward, but he's a poor defender, and yeah, it's not long probably till Alonso makes a mistake, and then he's sort of back out the team again. So I don't know if that actually helps anything at all, but I do not hate the idea, and it still go around in my head of having them both in
Having a double
because
up, yeah.
they could play a game and 10, 12 points each.
Yeah,
They're 1-0 down currently as well now, Tom. So, against us. Yeah.
I was just going to say,
Nketiah.
I mean, the only thing that's interesting, I don't think many people have Nketiah. But yeah, I suppose the one thing to mention on James, right, is that with Rudiger being out, there's a real high chance that he's going to be that right centre-back for quite a while, depending on how long Rudiger's out. The stats I've got here, Reece James shits all over Alonso in terms of attacking returns. He's played a few less games than Alonso and is absolutely creaming him in terms of attacking returns, just looking at that. So yeah, if Reece James was playing right wing back, it would be easy, but he might not be, and I think that's where the trouble comes in. Like I said, I think they're as nailed as one another. And I think, to be honest, like you said, mate, the answer, if you can, is to probably bring in both of them. But if I were to choose one, I think just on the fact that he is better, I'd go for Reece James, because, like you say, Alonso is a liability defensively for Chelsea. And I didn't watch I don't know what happened with the goal, but for example, if Alonso was at fault for it, you could see him just not playing again this season if he puts in an absolute howler. Whereas Reece James, I just don't think he's got that kind of performance in him. I think he's just too good to be dropped for a long period of time. So I think I'd go Reece James.
Yeah, and actually, I think Alonso, the last couple of games I've seen him against Real Madrid and the FA Cup finals, looked perfectly solid. I think that's about as good as it could possibly phrase I could use. So, yeah, if you sort of fancy the punt of Alonso and you want to get from whatever rank you're at and push into, like, well, in your case, probably like top 50 or whatever it is, then, yeah, that's obviously a risk that it would be a risk, but it has a high reward.
Right, have you got one more
They're not.
question?
They're not really. They've got the FA Cup final, but apart from that, they're not really playing for. They've got top four secure, haven't they? I'd like to. Oh, they definitely have. Yeah, I mean, mainly because the other teams are so poor. So I think he's going to probably play mainly his strongest teams. Do you think, Tom?
I
But
think
then it's
so.
Tuchel's a bit of. There's always a bit of tombola going on with him, isn't there?
I think he'll do a similar job to Pep, really, because Pep, he likes to play his best players, regardless of because he always has a cup final to prepare for, doesn't he? So he continues to play his best players just to keep them match fit, and I think Tuchel will operate on a similar mindset, to be honest.
So what we're basically saying is James is the better asset, but Alonso, if he can just keep defensively okay, then he's also a good pick. That's what we're saying, isn't it?
Definitely in addition,
Timo
yeah.
Werner's just scored as well.
Has he?
So Timo Werner is it came up on our Sky one, and we may as well bring it up now, mayn't we? That he's a really nice little differential pick to the end of the season.
He's been looking really lively recently, and yeah, I remember it was I think it was Paul McNulty mentioned it on the Sky Pod when he first joined Chelsea last season. I think I can remember it quite clearly. He said that Werner was a bit of a purple patch player, even in the Bundesliga. So when he's high in confidence, he is pretty much unstoppable. And that's where he gets all his goals. And then at points of the season, well, most of his Chelsea career so far, he's just been flat. So hopefully he's on one of those purple patches now and actually becomes a bit of an option.
I read a thread on him, and apparently he's never been a really clean striker of the ball or clean finisher. He had a high volume of chances in the German league.
That's just not his game, is it? Either that's not the type of player
he's not a Son, is he? No. Son gets 3 shots against Villa and scores 3 goals. But you're right, he's a confidence player, a bit of purple patch. He seems to be on one of those little runs at the moment. Will he continue that to the end of the season?
Yeah, nice one. Hopefully that covers Chelsea quite well. And then we've got one more question from the Flying Circus of FPL. He or she, I don't know, asks us, should we be selling Arsenal assets for Chelsea/Man City assets? Yeah, I mean, I'm keeping Saka, but I have Martinelli stinking out my team at the moment, and I think I'll definitely be getting rid of Martinelli for a Chelsea player. I think if you're in a position where, because I know Sam, unfortunately, you don't quite have the funds to do it, but if you're in a position where you have funds to take out Martinelli for a Chelsea player, I think you've got to do that.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? I think Saka's. We've discussed this, haven't we? Saka's worth leaving for now.
He's just good enough to stay, isn't he? And he'll pretty much play every game. I'm trying to get my words out then, but yeah, you can guarantee Saka to start. But Martinelli, I think, is expendable now.
Yeah, I think so. Especially with Smith Rowe. I'm not getting my words out now. Smith Rowe back and fit.
There's too much.
As you can see, he's kind of. And with Arsenal not been playing fantastic recently, he's kind of been rotating those two a little bit, hasn't he? So, yeah, what you said, mate, makes sense.
And definitely, because I know you're in a position where you got Tierney as well, haven't you? If you're stuck with Tierney, for example, I'd no question bring in a Chelsea player because is he out for the season now, Tierney, or he's certainly out for an extended period of time?
Him and Doherty both are.
So yeah,
I've got both of them stuck on my bench, so I'm going to have to do something because there's money sat in those two there. And I do want another Chelsea player in, so I think it's just kind of working away. I think it's going to involve Kasper Schmeichel. What I think I'll do is Kasper Schmeichel in for Pope, and then Tierney I think I can do Tierney to Reece James. So that's probably what I'll do next week. Although I do like, is that the final question, Tom, was it?
Yeah. I was going to show something else at the end, but go for it, mate, if you want to carry on.
I was going to say, I do like a little outside shout. I was going back a few slides, but I do like the potential of Mateta in for game week, maybe even 30. Well, anytime now, right? So listen in. So forward slots are bar Kane, maybe Werner. We've talked about Tony. There's not too much else, is there, right? So he looks nailed. I know this happened. I got burnt last time with Eduardo. I brought him in on wildcard and then we never saw him again. But he looks like he's the first choice striker. They've got Leeds, Southampton, Watford, double of Everton and Villa in 37, and then finish with United on the last day of the season. So I was discussing this on our Golden Goal Twitter with someone. I can't remember who it was, who was also thinking about doing the same thing. And I really don't hate that as a move at any point, really.
Yeah, the thing is with FanTeam as well. Well. I never claim to be an FPL expert, right? I don't really play the game because there's no money on the line. I try to focus where I can win some money, but with FPL, it's a bit more difficult to take hits. But in FanTeam, where you get points for minutes, points for shots on target, etc., etc., I think the baseline for most players is a bit higher. So taking it a -4 to swap a single game week player for a double game week player is not a bad idea at all. So yeah, like you're saying with Mateta, yeah, even for a hit for like you say for I don't know Broyer or Dennis for example, that's a really good shout. I like that.
Yeah, mate.
And then the final one, well, it was nothing. I was sort of anticipating a question on it, really. We've gone through the debate of Alonso v James, but I think there'll be a lot of people looking to bring in a Chelsea midfielder as well. And the two standouts for me are Mount and Havertz. So I just put up a little graphic to, it was just from who scored. It's not got any of the complicated XG stats on it or what have you. It's pure goals, assists, shots, and man of the matches and ratings, etc. Just a straight up comparison between Havertz and Mount. And yeah, it looks like, based on all the stats, I know Mount's played a few more games than Havertz, but across goals, assists, well, the fact that he's played more games is a good start, isn't it? But yeah, goals, assists, all of that, Mount is ahead of Havertz. So for me, I think I'd go for Mount over Havertz.
I think it's really close. I think Mount is playing really well at the moment, and he's come into some of his better form. I think he's bedded into the Premier League well. I think, but I do think on FanTeam that Mount is a good pick as well. So yeah, I think there's a couple of 100k difference between the two. So if it's a money thing, then just go with what your money can do. Obviously, I brought Kai Havertz in a few weeks ago, didn't I? Captained him before their blank, whenever that was, and he hauled. But Mount has also hauled as well. So I think it's really tight, Tom. I really, really do. I think you could bring in either or. Havertz is having a rest tonight, or at least off.
That's a good point.
Not starting from. And so maybe is he then going to be nailed for the next game? And maybe Mount might get a rest at some point. I don't know. But I think it's really, really close between the two of them. And that graphic pretty much shows that, doesn't it?
Yeah, sort of. That's what I was trying to give Mount a bit of an argument above Havertz just on, yeah, he's got 6 more assists, for example. But yeah, I mean, if you're on paper, they are probably quite close. But yeah, I was just trying to use this graphic to say Mount was better myself. I think he's a better option because he's played more games and got more returns in short. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was it, really. Yeah. I just wanted to flash that one up. But that's like, I'm not going to violently disagree with you. That's the whole point of fantasy football, isn't it? People having different opinions and picking different players.
I think it's super close. And when I was having a look at potentially either or for this week, it came down to money. If I had to get Mount in because he's a bit cheaper, that's fine by me. I'm totally happy with that. So that probably says it all, that I'm happy to have either asset.
Was there anything else you wanted to mention, mate? Because that brings us nicely to the end, I think.
No, I think that's everything, Tom.
Oh, nice one then. Yeah, as usual, if you like what you saw, give us a like and a subscribe on YouTube. And yeah, we'll see you next week for another FanTeam Game Week preview. Yeah, sorry we were away for a little while, but we're back now and will be for the rest of the season. Cheers, everyone.
Thanks, guys.